I think a lot of women have experiences where we realize that we're being seen in ways that just aren't true. So I keep thinking more like ways I don't want to be remembered or ways I don't want to be seen. It's a little harder to think of ways I do want to be seen.
I think you talked a couple of times about, like you would reference Salt Lake City. And I don't think I've ever asked you this. Are you from Utah originally?
So I grew up in Salt Lake City, right outside Salt Lake City in sort of an industrial area. And I was the second oldest child of 7. So my brother was older than me, so I was the oldest girl, which meant in that world that I was the person who had to take all the responsibility for the other kids and all of that. And my mother ended up raising us mostly alone. It was a rough childhood. A lot of sort of rough realities that I'm still thinking about, and that sort of informs how I look at the world. So I wanted to learn, and I really wanted to figure out how to make myself a life when I grow up. I got married young, had 2 kids, and when that marriage ended, I ended up getting financial help to go to college, Pell Grants, loans, all kinds of stuff, and I worked. And it was the early 70s, mid 70s. I felt like that's where I wanted to be, with people who believed things I believed. And so it sort of changed my life to go to college at that point. I was really involved in a lot of protests, a lot of political action. I actually started working for the Democratic political party. So I worked as a campaigner, and I got very involved. That's how John and I met, actually. It was really good for me, I think, that I happened to be that age at that time. Because in some ways it was really exciting, in some ways it was really scary. Politically, it was scary. We didn't know how things were going to turn out, about civil rights, about the Vietnam War, about women's rights. We weren't sure. It was sort of like things were in flux, and the end wasn't clear yet. We hoped for a good end, and there were some gains made. But in the meantime, it was really, for me, it was a really good time because I sort of woke up, you know. And I look back now, I mean, it's part of the reason I'm writing so many poems about women I grew up with now. I look back and think about, I was lucky in so many ways to sort of get out of the situation that I grew up in, the poverty, the confinement, the life my mother had. And I've been thinking more and more about the people that I keep remembering, right? It's when you remember somebody and they're just rattling around in your head. Why do I keep remembering her? And my own mother, who I saw learn more. She learned more than anybody I know. She just loved learning. And she always had books around the house, and she would let us read trash magazines, if we wanted to, just so we were reading. So she learned everything, and she encouraged us to learn everything. I knew there were writers because I read books, but I didn't know that there were any writers that were alive, and I didn't have a sense that that was something you could actually do. I got encouragement from my colleagues, my peers, the other students, and from my teachers. I feel comfortable saying that I'm a poet, but it's still, just to take myself seriously as a professional writer was hard. It was very hard. And I wish it wasn't. I wish I would have had more confidence earlier, but I had confidence in the writing. I didn't have confidence in my place in the world, I guess. Finally accepting ourselves as professionals. It's a good feeling. You have to demand it of yourself, I guess. So I'm now feeling more related to what I used to write, but I'm still, the change is there, it's permanent, and it's okay. It's just awkward sometimes in my own head, but yeah, I've had that. And do you find that it changes the way you look at your old writing?
Yeah, I think I wrote a note, like in my journal, that like there's this urgency to some parts of it that it's like very out of place.
And that's what I think, what I've noticed is there's just this other voice. Urgency, that's the thing, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was thinking about being remembered as a person who is a good parent and a person who loved family and all of those things that I think are a lot of people would like to be remembered in those ways. Because family is really super important to me, and my kids and my grandkids and my husband and my siblings. I have a large family and I really feel tight with them. So that part, I hope I did well, I've tried to do it well. Beyond that, I think it's, in some ways it's like it's not up to me. I hope that I've made enough things and enough difference in the world that even if they don't remember me, that the changes will kind of speak for themselves. If you make little changes, if you are one person at a protest march, or if you are one person making phone calls or helping to get out the vote or something like that, no one's going to remember you for that. But if the world changes minute little amount for the better, that's good. I mean, that would be, I would consider that being remembered. If the poems affect somebody, if somebody's reading the poems and it makes them question or rethink or argue or makes them happy, or if the conversation goes on, I guess, and if my work is helpful to anybody, useful, I guess I want to be remembered as useful. And if the work is useful and if things that I've done have been useful, that seems like a good thing.